Hey YouTube, it's your girl Dr. J, and I had promised that I would do some videos on our curriculum choices for the 2015-2016 school year, and someone asked that I do math, and I'm going to show you what we're doing for my third graders for math for the 2015-2016 school year. I'll do a separate video to show you guys what I'm doing for my fifth grader for math, but I'll start with the twins. And just to give you some background, the twins are 7 years old. They're going to be in the third grade, and they're mathy kids. They're science mathy kids. And so the things that I'm going to be showing you guys are things that would probably work with kids that really like math, or they're really mathy. They're probably not the best things to use with kids that really struggle with math, but there will be some things that I'm going to show you that some of the supplements that would probably be fabulous for kids that were struggling a little bit with math. So first, I'm going to tell you what our spines are. We have two really big spines for math for this school year. One is Beast Academy and the other is CTC Math. And I'm going to tell you why we have those two spines. The reason is because Beast Academy, this is Beast Academy, and it was designed by the same people who wrote The Art of Problem Solving. And this is for mathy kids. This is for kids that are going to go very high in math, go very deep in math competitions, a lot of stuff like that. So that's one of the spines because, like I said, they're mathy kids. They really would like to go into engineering or the sciences, so it just makes sense for us to really hit math hard. The other reason why we're doing CTC Math is because CTC Math, it's fabulous. We've been using it for over a year now. The kids love it. I love it. It's based out of Australia. It is a comprehensive math program, especially if your kids really like online learning. One of the things that I love about it is that kids are allowed to, basically every child that has an account, they have access to curriculum kindergarten through calculus. And so the child moves at their own pace, and you can see exactly what's going on, how it's working. The reason why we have two math spines is because Beast Academy, as fabulous as it is, it doesn't follow a traditional scope and sequence. That's one of the reasons why it works so well. That's one of the reasons why we love it, is because it doesn't follow a traditional scope and sequence. CTC Math does follow a more traditional scope and sequence. Even though I love that my kids are learning how numbers work, how math works, and they truly are learning the art of problem solving, I also need to make sure that they have a background in that traditional scope and sequence that most of the kids are getting in this country, and CTC Math allows for that. It's also done, it's just done extremely well. At the end of their second grade year, Salamander was into the third grade level for CTC Math, and Faster Fox was actually in the fourth grade level of CTC Math. Now, and they're just continuing with that, and we'll just keep rolling with it. Now, for Beast Academy, we are doing third grade Beast Academy. If someone wonders, well, since Faster Fox was doing fourth grade for CTC Math, why wouldn't she do fourth grade for Beast Academy? Because Beast Academy is an entirely different animal. I would never grade skip a child into Beast Academy just because it's so rigorous, and it takes more than just math. It really hones their mathematical thinking skills. And some things you just have to age into and mature into. Now, if you have a child and they are extremely advanced, then they may be able to start Beast Academy at first or second grade. They are writing a second grade curriculum, but they're writing Beast Academy as we go. They started with third grade. Third grade is complete. They then went to fourth grade. I think fourth grade is complete. Then they're going to fifth grade and writing fifth grade, and then they'll come back and write second grade. So second grade may not be written for another year. Okay, so in the meantime, I would recommend CTC Math and Math Mammoth. as you wait for Beast Academy, if you really want to use Beast Academy, but your child isn't ready for a 3rd grade Beast Academy. Just to let you guys know the scope and sequence that will be used, there's 12 chapters total, I think. For book A, this is book A, it's shapes, skip counting, perimeter, and area. So that's book A. That's what's covered in book A. Book B is multiplication, perfect squares, the distributive property. Book C is variables, division, and measurement. And book D is fractions, estimation, and area. So those are the topics that are covered in Beast Academy. We have the guidebooks and the workbooks. Now, as you can see, that's not a traditional scope and sequence. Some things that would normally be in a traditional scope and sequence, I didn't even talk about, like money, right? That you would normally find in a traditional scope and sequence. That's fine that it's not something that a whole chapter is dedicated to in Beast Academy, because my kids are going to get that in the more traditional way from CTC Math. Some of the things may sound like it's a little more simple, but I'm going to read to you guys some of the things, questions out of the practice book, because you need the guidebook and the practice book. I have one guidebook for the house, and then each child has their own practice book. So when it comes to things like shapes, okay, it will ask questions like, it'll say label each shape below as a pentagon, hexagon, heptagon, octagon, nonagon, or decagon. And so it really gets into some of the more nuances of shapes, and it basically really, once the child is done with it, you're going to know that they know what those shapes are. And a lot of times people may say, well, why do they need all those shapes? Because that's the foundation for geometry. Okay. And so that's why they need it. And with skip counting, of course, skip counting is the foundation for multiplication and fast math, fast addition. But I really like that the skip counting, it doesn't, sometimes in a more traditional scope and sequence, when we get to skip counting, they say, okay, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and it's some of the easier ones. But some of the questions in Beast Academy, they ask things like, they say fill in the blank to continue the pattern below. And one of them is 3, 7, 11, 15. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blank lines. Another one asks to find the pattern of 5, 14, 23, 32. And so it's going to really challenge them a little bit more than they would traditionally see in a traditional scope and sequence. So now we also, so Mondays and Wednesdays, we're going to do Beast Academy. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we'll be doing CTC Math. And on Fridays, we are going to be doing Edward Zuccaro's Challenge Math. I have a ton of Challenge Math books. I have the entire series. A lot of what we'll be doing will be out of the primary math book, but we'll be dabbling into some of the other books as well. Now, I often tell you guys what kind of spines I'm using, and I show a lot of stuff, but I don't always show you how I use the stuff. So that's what I'm going to do now. So basically, Fridays are where we're going to be doing like challenge math sort of stuff. And so how that's going to work is the kids are going to be the twins when we get to the chapter on skip counting. So in addition to having my handy dandy trusty skip counting CD, I love this CD because it's not kind of that boring sort of baby skip counting stuff. But I mean, for instance, the genres are for 2s, it's Latin, 3s, hip hop, 4s, country, 9s, jazz. And so that's kind of a fun way to do skip counting. So I'll add that sort of thing in there. But when we get to the chapter on skip counting, I'm going to take my challenge math book, and I look through my challenge math book, and I see that in the table of contents, there's a section for what's the next number, sequencing. That is akin to skip counting. And so we would do some of the sequencing challenges that are in there. And here is a sample of a level 2 question in the primary math, primary grade challenge math. So the question says, Stacy has $20 on Monday. On Tuesday, she has 17, and on Wednesday, she had 14. How much money will she have on Friday? And so that's sequencing. They're going to have to skip count, but not only are they they're skip counting backwards, and they're doing it with money. So that's going to combine the money that they may be doing in CTC math, or the money that they weren't yet working on in Beast Academy, but still align with the things that they were already doing. So that's the way that I will be adding in our challenge math. It's just going to take it out of the textbook, and we're going to have some fun, and we just do these at our whiteboard. Another thing that I add a lot of hands-on components with our work. For instance, I told you guys that the first chapter was on shapes, and I want to be able to tell you a little bit more. Like when it talks about the first chapter being on shapes, what does that cover? That covers angles, triangles, don't make a triangle, quadrilaterals, and polynomials. Okay, so angles is covered. One of the things that I have that we're going to use for hands-on for covering angles is this. This is a geometry activity kit. It is from Lakeshore Learning. I believe they still sell these kits, but I bought this kit used. Okay, I got it for $10 because somebody was they were just ready to get rid of it. It was in great shape. It has everything. It's all still awesome. And I really got it for this little piece right here. And the reason why I wanted that is because even in Beast Academy, they have to use these. And what I found with Speedster, my older one, was that sometimes he would forget which line he was measuring with. Okay, you know, was it the higher number or the lower number? And that was, I saw that's something that often happens with dyslexics, the line jumping, line skipping. All three of my kids are dyslexic. So I knew, okay, that's a problem that I need to be on the lookout for. And it was really, I didn't have anything that I really liked that was hands-on for Speedster. So I was happy that I was able to get these for Faster Fox and Salamander. And what this is when they measure the angle, they will find the angle with this. And they will be reminded, okay, am I measuring an acute angle or an obtuse angle? Because if I'm supposed to be measuring an obtuse angle, and when I look at my numbers, it looks like this, that's not an obtuse angle, that's an acute angle. So obviously my measurement is a little bit off. So I need to look at the other number and move my little form the way that it should be. And so that'll be a great visual check for them. It also has some other things in here, like different shapes. I have tons of other shapes and stuff as well, and some little blocks. So if you're interested in this kit, I believe they still have it. I think it might be called something else. Has a guidebook and all that kind of stuff. We won't be using the guidebook, but all the other stuff is good to go. I mentioned that there was a section on fractions in the book. One of the things, my kids love this game, and we will continue to play this game. It is called Fraction Formula. This game is absolutely fabulous, but let me tell you what it really is, guys. This is basically 21, Blackjack. So you have a tube, and everybody gets a tube, right? And then there's these random cards that are on the table. And so the goal of the game is you have to get as close to 1, fraction 1, as possible without going over. And the person who's closest to 1 wins. Did I tell you it was 21? Okay, so if I'm playing this game and the dealer deals me 1/8, then I have to find my 1/8 and I put it in my cup. Okay, So let's say the next card I get is 1/5. I find my 1/5, and then I have to start making decisions on, do I want to be hit again? You know, do I want another card, or do I say I'm done? And what that does is it really starts to help them visually see what's the difference between 1/5 and 1/6. Okay, how close to 1 is 1/3 plus 1/6 plus 1/5 plus 1/8. Okay, and then, you know, why did I go over when I added all those to this? You know, so it's just a great visual way of seeing the game. And yes, it's kind of gambling, or, you know, but that's all right. There's math and gambling, but we have those. I also have these sort of visuals as well, because I found out, especially with fractions and percents, my kids really needed to see some visuals. And so when they're working out problems, we're going to be doing some visual working of the problems as well. Another thing that I add in, I look at what are we going to be covering, and I will add in some reading books. For instance, there are some sections on negative numbers, so they're going to be learning negative numbers. We've already touched on negative numbers a little bit, but they definitely don't have them as thoroughly as they need them, because, you know, they're 7 years old. So we have books like this, like less than 0. So when will we use this sort of book? Well, Faster Fox is going to be doing, she's going to be doing Girls Inc., and it's an after-school program that's fabulous. I don't know if everybody has Girls Inc. I know it's across the country, but our local one, they have just done, like last year, they had Condoleezza Rice as their guest speaker. The year before, they had Mae Jemison as their guest speaker for their annual banquet and stuff. They do tons of stuff. They do tons of STEM related things, as well as other kind of fun stuff, girl power sort of initiatives. So she's going to be doing that. It's their after school program. So I'll take her there because she's not in a traditional school. So she'll get to hang out with lots of girls from lots of different backgrounds and stuff. But one of the things that they do is they have homework time. Well, she won't really have homework, but I'll be sending like books like this for her to read that cover those math concepts, because I actually don't want anybody to help her with her math work, because I know the way it works for us. I know that, you know, we have the resources to teach her math appropriately, and not everybody is comfortable with math, and so I don't want her to get help that isn't as helpful. And so I'll send books like these for her, and then sometimes if we just have some downtime, we'll do some fun things like that. So that's how I incorporate books and things into what we're doing. Here's some other sort of books. This one is on fractions. This is also another fraction book. So as we cover different concepts, I'll have these books out ready for her to go. When she's in ballet class, Salamander, he's not doing ballet, so he'll probably have to be waiting out there with me for her if my husband doesn't pick him up. So we'll have the books. I'll switch them out as they switch out their chapters that they're doing for Beast Academy. When they do equations in Beast Academy or solving for the unknown, we're going to be playing with our hands-on equation set. They've played with this a few times, but we're going to be incorporating it to use it a lot more. And this is the basic balance beam, and with hands-on equations, it's just showing them the concept of balance beam equation. So we'll play around with this when they get to the chapters on balancing equations. So basically what I do, CTC math, I only try to pull out manipulatives in books or other hands-on things if they're struggling with a concept in CTC math. If not, I really just let them go on about their business and find their way through it. If they're struggling with the concept, what I will generally pull out is my Mortensen math blocks. Okay, Mortensen math, and these are what the blocks look like. And Crouton Ramon videos. Crouton Ramon, I would try to put a link in the description box. But Crouton Ramon, his videos are awesome. He is really laid back, really cool guy. Explains math in just such a beautiful way. I remember Faster Fox was having trouble with subtracting money. And the way he explained it, like if you were subtracting from $10, $20, $30, like that. I mean, the way he explained it in a video, we watched the first 30 seconds of the video and she got it, and then she never had a problem with it again. So I love his videos. If they're ever struggling with a concept, I'll pull out my Mortensen math blocks and find I have a password. I bought a password with Crouton Ramon so I can find the password protected videos if there's not something on the public site, and then it's really easy to find. He explains things well for a visual learner, so I use him often for kind of our straight math. But what I really focus a lot of my time on in finding additional things for us to do and pull out during the week is what they're going to be doing for Beast Academy. And so I try to stay a couple steps ahead of them as far as pulling things out. They're not past my ability level in math per se. Whenever my kids get past my ability level, then I will contract out all of their math, because I don't, math is too important for us, for me to kind of be blindly finding my way through it. So whenever my kids get to the point where I go, okay, I don't feel like I'm strong enough in this to really help them, then that's when I'll contract it out. Oh, another thing they're going to be doing, I told you guys math was big with us. Another thing that my kids are going to be doing, the Gifted Homeschoolers Forum has an online, they have online class offerings. And the online class that the twins are going to be taking is Minecraft Math. I love the syllabus that they have put out for this. I think it's going to be fabulous for the twins, because I've heard a lot of people talk about homeschool Minecraft or something like that, but that's more of, hey, your kid likes Minecraft and we got some, we put this concept on top of it. This kind of flips it, and this is all about math, but it's using Minecraft in the teaching of math. So, and like they'll do a lot with 3D and shapes and stuff like that. So it's going to, basically a lot, the class itself, it's a 1 semester class, and it correlates almost perfectly with Beast Academy A and B. I don't know if they did it on purpose, if they went through the book, but it correlates almost perfectly with that. So the first ones are the first few lessons, the first few weeks are all about shapes. And so that's what our Beast Academy is going to be on. So it's going to be about 3D shapes and stuff. So they'll have a live class session where the first part of the class is an hour long. The first part of the class, they'll be going over the concepts. And then the second part of the class, they actually go into the Minecraft room and create the shapes and work with the shapes and do those sort of things that they're working on that they just learned about. And they do that for each of the various concepts. And so it just fit perfectly. I thought it was going to be a really good fit for the twins. They really like Minecraft. And so I thought this was a great add-on. And it was going to be something to balance some of the stuff that Speedster was doing. So I'm really excited for them to do this as well. So one question I get a lot is, how much time do we spend every day on math? I don't really have a set time that we do. I really don't time things out. I can say that when they're just doing CTC math, they generally spend about a half an hour to an hour on that. When they're just, because sometimes they just like it, and so they'll go through and they like to challenge themselves. They like to do speed skills, that sort of stuff. So they usually spend anywhere from a half an hour to an hour on math for when they're in CTC math. For the days when we do Beast Academy, that will be anywhere again from probably a half an hour to an hour, and that includes if we're going to play a game of fraction formula or play some of our wrap-ups. Like these are division wrap-ups. So if I find that they're struggling a bit with division, or if they need to increase their fluency or something like that, then I will pull out some wrap-ups and have them time themselves doing some fun little wrap-ups. Anything to take writing out of the equation for my kids, because that's a struggle for them. So That includes if we want to read a book. That includes if we want to put something in a math journal. So I generally I won't force them, and force is a strong word, but I won't really push them and ask them to spend more than an hour on math a day, because again, they're 7. But they'll be 8 soon. But still, I won't punish them with more than that. But if they're enjoying it and if they're having fun and if they're really into it, then we will go longer than that. So we've had times, I know I've seen Speedster work on math for 2 to 3 hours. We've had times where we've gone longer than that, especially if we do something. I don't know if I have any of my stuff down here with me. I may not. I was pulling stuff off the shelf to show you guys, and I just put so much stuff off, it's just a blur. But if we're doing, like, there's we have the Joy of Mathematics course and the Secrets of Mental Math from the teaching company, and those are courses that are actually designed for adults, but they work for kids as well. And so with the Joy of Mathematics, that's just really showing kids the wonder of math and why it's cool and why it's fun. I use those if we have a downtime, if somebody's sick and we're not really going to do, because in my house, if it's a sick day for one person, it ends up being a sick day for everybody. And so what I will do is, the sick person will, be laying in the bed, and then their siblings will just probably be around them. And I'll throw on like teaching company DVDs and stuff like that. So it's not a we didn't do schoolwork day. It's just we didn't sit at our desk or, go out and do schoolwork sort of day. So we'll use those sort of things. But they may watch 3 or 4 lectures. And if they watch 3 or 4 lectures, usually the lectures are about 30 minutes. So that's 2 hours. And so each day is different with math. It depends on the concept. When we're going over skip counting and stuff like that, we can finish the whole chapter in probably a week to 2 weeks. And so we may spend an hour each day, every other day on that concept. But if we're really starting with something that's going to be a little bit more challenging for them, like division or some of the algebraic concepts, then I may limit it to a half an hour, and we'll just stay on that a little bit longer. So I don't have a hard and fast rule, because it changes with the needs of my kids and with what we're doing and the concepts that we're working with. One of the things, as you guys can see, is that math is a big thing in my household. I don't plan their curriculum in a vacuum. My husband is extremely hands-on with planning their math curriculum. The reason is, he's an engineer. They're into science and engineering and that sort of stuff. So he knows really the scope and sequence that they're going to need. He knows the trajectory that they're going to be expected to be on. I've looked at some of the schools that they would normally want to go to and that sort of stuff. And that's the trajectory that we need to be on. I need to make sure that they have really, really, really good depth in their work and in their learning. I need to make sure that they understand math. They don't just get through it. They don't just get the problems right, but they understand it, because they're going to be going extremely deep in math in ways that wouldn't normally be asked in a traditional school experience, unless you were going to a tech school. You guys got to remember that we've always had a STEM-based homeschool, and having a STEM-based homeschool means that we do math, science, engineering, tech. We do all those things a little bit differently than most people would be doing them. We go a lot deeper in those topics than most people will go. We spend a lot more time on those topics than most people would spend. So I don't think that the average homeschool would need that. You wouldn't be able to do this depth of math and still do the depth that a lot of people absolutely love for history and literature and some of the other just as relevant, just as inspiring, just as important topics. Everything is about weighing and making choices and making decisions and living with the consequences of those decisions. So I understand that because we have such a focus on mathematics in our homeschool, we don't get to do some of the more in-depth studies on history that a lot of other people have in their homes. We don't get to do some of the study on literature that other people have in their homes. We hit it, we do it, but we don't get to, do some of the really more absolutely in-depth experiences that I've seen from other people. And so that's why I try to make math as fun as possible, because, when other kids, other third graders might be doing a play on the Pilgrims, or doing, in-depth studies on Egypt, and, in-depth studies on Greece and Rome, and building pyramids and learning hieroglyphics and all that sort of stuff. That's not something that we would really get to in our homeschool. And so I have to make my kids' math experience as absolutely fascinating as other people get to make their history experiences or their literature experiences. And so this is just the trade-off that we have made in our homeschool. So this, you don't okay, these are just some of the different math books that we have. Like, math becomes literature a little bit in our home. Like I said, we still do literature. I'll let you guys know some of the literature stuff that we're doing, some of the social studies stuff that we're doing, but it's not going to be as absolutely stunningly fabulous as what a lot of people will be able to show in their homeschool, because math and science and engineering and technology, they take a lot of our time in our homeschool. And that's just the price that we had to pay to have a STEM-based homeschool. You just can't do it all. And so this is a glimpse at kind of what we do. And I wanted to take a little bit more time to show you not just what I use, but how I use those things, because I think that's something that a lot of times people would come back and say, okay, now what do you do with all that? I saw you had like 57 math books. Why? What do you do with them? And so I wanted to spend a little bit of time in telling you guys how we do it, what we do. I really hope this is helpful. If it is, leave me a comment below. If it's not helpful, leave me a comment below and let me know, because this is now like 32 minutes and I know y'all are like, whatever. So if these videos aren't helpful, it'll be a time saver for us both for me to not do them. So, but I do hope this helps, and definitely leave me a comment below and let me know if it helps or if it sucked and you never want me to do this again. I hope this helps. This is Dr. J, and I'm out. Bye-bye.